statements and why. Sit back. You're going to have a chance to give your opinion after I give you these different scenarios. Was it the feds? Let's not forget them. Was it the cartel? Let's not forget them. Was it the brothers on the street in D.C. that felt like he violated the street code? Let's not forget them. All right? We're just giving you different scenarios because I know these are the scenarios you're thinking. This is not to implicate anyone, but this is just to express what's in your mind from my mind. So I'm going to talk to you. Sit back, cop the book. The QR code on the screen works. Make sure you subscribe at Mecca Audio TV and hit the subscribe button while this is playing now. You're going to have time to go to Mecca Audio TV, subscribe, hit the notification and the notification bell, and you can just go right to where you at and hit the notification bell. Let's get this thing popping. All right. You know what time it is. Unique Mecca Audio. We're in the house. I don't even want to show my face yet because I want y'all to really think about what is going on. That way you know that we in the house. We bring you something powerful today. And now here I come. Now, I left the black screen on because I need your mind blank right now. Because everyone have their own reasoning for why they feel Rayful Edmonds passed. But I'm going to give you a number of different reasons. Reasons you may not have thought of. But we're going to go. But first of all, some people saying, who's Rayful Edmonds? Who's Rayful Edmonds? Well, we're going to let you know now. This is Hood TV. I got to give them a shout out. I like the way they did this.
New details tonight in the death of infamous D.C. cocaine kingpin Rayful Edmonds. He died at the age of 60 months after he was released from prison.
Edmonds' operation profited hundreds of millions of dollars at the height of the crack epidemic back in the 1980s.
I'm back better than ever.
This is the most recent and only video of Rayful Edmonds we've seen since his release from a...
Now, does he look like a man that is having heart trouble to you? Put it in the comments. Does he look like a man that's having heart trouble to you?
A federal prison last summer, captured on camera at an airport just after his release and shared on social media. Then U.S. Attorney Jay Stevens.
I think Rayful Edmonds has been held accountable for the human destruction and tragedy that he has brought to this city and to the lives of thousands of young people who live in this community.
The streets never sleep, and this time Rayful Edmonds, the infamous kingpin who practically defined the crack era in D.C., suddenly died just a few months before he was set to be released from prison.
Now, you see how they said a few months before he's released from prison, you know he was in a halfway house, so that means he was still in the prison system. That's where we at. So that's what they mean by that. I like the commentary. Let's keep it moving.
Speculations are running wild, and let's just say the family is not staying silent. They're coming forward with shocking claims about who might have been behind his sudden demise. It's looking like the snitches might have played a major role. Now, in case you didn't know, Rayful Edmonds wasn't just any name in the game. He was the name. In the 80s, this man turned Washington, D.C. into what was called the red rum capital of the U.S. due to the crack epidemic. By age 24, Rayful was running a massive empire with over 150 people under him, pulling in a mind-blowing $300 million a year. His crew wasn't just selling, they were reportedly tied to at least 30 red rums.
When the crack epidemic...
Now, let me tell you what red rum is. Red rum is equivalent to what we had in New York. My New York brothers know they was TNT. That's the Technical Narcotics Task Force. Technical Narcotics Task Force was TNT. That was equivalent to red rum in Washington, D.C. They was the ones that was put on the street to get the guns off the street because violence was starting to come in with the crack era. So, yeah, Red rum is also the word murder backwards. The guns was murdering, so they decided that they was gonna make a group called Red Rum to go out there and get the guns off the street in New York. They labeled it TNT. These was some big. Let's ride. We gotta ride. These was some big European lumberjacks. I mean, when they was in a 4-door LTD. If you don't know what that up for you young that is for your younger people, go look it up. LTD is a big 4-door, car, American car. Now, these dudes, I called them lumberjacks because they were so big that when they sat in these cars, their shoulders was on the ceiling and they had to bend their head down. And this is how you see these big Europeans coming through the hood, and they didn't even use dark tint. They used light tint back then. Now they use this dark tint because they hiding. But TNT, Red Rum, they want you to know who they was. You see these big white dudes come in 4 deep. Sometimes they got 5 of them in a car. And when they pull up, they slam on the brakes, they jump out and they go chasing you through the projects. That's where you see the movies like from Boys in the Hood and Menace in Society. They get that from how TNT and Red Rum used to hit the street. But what they're saying is that, right? I'm gonna give you different scenarios. That's why you come here to Unique Mecca Audio to get my perspective. What they got going on is they're saying that Rayful Edmonds had a few Red Rum, jump outs. We call them jump outs in New York also and on the street because they pull up and they slam on the brakes and they jump out and they chase you through the projects or the alleys. It depends where you at. Big shout out to the wards out there in Texas. And so that's where we was at, right? So they saying that Rayful Edmonds had some of Red Rum on his payroll, and now being that they say that some of America's finest in the law enforcement that's decorated, that don't have a blemish on their record. Now, Rayful Edmonds was in a position to put those blemishes on his record by letting it be known that he paid them off and paid for their kids to go to school from that crack era drug money that they was rewarded for being a part of shutting down. Okay, that's what they was there for. Red Rum was there to shut down the crack era, right? So do you think maybe Red Rum could have put a hit out on him? And being that he was still in a federal holding center where they was responsible, for what comes in and out. You think they may have poisoned him? You think he may have asked for Tylenol and got a heart inducent? Do you think the government could be that wicked? Somebody put it in the comment. I'm just giving you, the thoughts that's out there, and I'm bringing it to you. Do you think they could be that wicked to have, unalived Rayful Edmonds? The government would never do something like that, right? Somebody put it in the comments. Let me know what you think of that. And I'm going to let it go a little further before I give you the different scenarios because we riding. All right, let's go.
Epidemic hit, the DC Police Department wasn't ready for it.
When crack was the hustle here in the nation's capital back in the 1980s, nobody, absolutely nobody worked harder than Rayful Edmonds III.
But like they say, every kingpin has his downfall. In 1990, Rayful was hit with a life sentence for running his empire. And if that wasn't enough, he managed to keep the hustle alive from prison, getting another 30 years for dealing nose candy while locked up.
Now, before we go into that and fast forward, right? Let me take you back on some ride. And to be honest, this is the real reason why the rat bastards hate me so much, because I'm connected to everything and I got, solid information and I got receipts, Oh, and I want to say this before I go any further. We got the Ohio 4, right? Please text a friend right now when you get off, text freetheohio4.org. Please, freetheohio4.org. These are brothers that got caught up doing the Red Room situation and TNT that I'm talking about, and they locked them up for unaliving. They did not commit, and they've been fighting it for 3 decades. They've been fighting this. For 3 decades, they've been fighting that they're innocent, and then it came out that there was no DNA. The prosecution agreed that they was innocent. The prosecution, the government, the one that tries to bury you with time, they put in a motion to the court letting them know that they locked up the Ohio 4 all the way from New York City illegally, and that they did not commit the crime. They're just waiting on the judge to rule on it, and the judge is waiting because the prosecutor that put in the motion to free the Ohio 4 lost the election in November, so he'll be leaving in January. So the judge is trying to wait till after January when the new government attorney come in to see what his stance is, if they should free the Ohio 4 that the present prosecutor said is innocent of the crime. Put it in the comments what you think about that. The link will be in the comment. Do you think that's right? You don't think we need to go sign these men's petition when the government is saying that they've been locked up for 3 decades and they didn't commit a crime? But let's ride. That was the Ohio 4. Big shout out to my brother Shakim, right? And John Edwards is his government name. If you want to look him up, look up John Edwards, a.k.a. Shakim Bio. Now, let me get back to Rayful. Rayful caught another 30 years from when he was in Lewisburg in the Fed serving life. That's when I met him. I met him while all of this was going on. I used to go down there, right? You know we ride. Lewisburg is set up like this. You got the east side and you got the west side. They call it the sand side and the map side. The sand side is the side for the brothers that didn't have as much violence on them, you know, but everybody got violence in Lewisburg, you know, from their past history. You know, so then you got the west side, they call the MAB side. That was the maximum security side. They had Rayful in the maximum security side. Being it was my first time in the feds, they had me on the sand side. They kept the phone on one side one day for 24 hours, and then they shut it off, and then they turn it on the other side. So the sand side will have a phone one day, the MAP side will have it another. If you need to make a phone call on the day that your phone wasn't on, you'll just walk down to the other side and go in one of the units where your homies is at. You know, you get on the phone and you call your people, and then you go back your ass to the other side. I used to go from the sand side to the MAP side, and B unit didn't have a lot of people that used the phone because these was the most violent and dangerous criminals that don't want to use the phone because they know that everything is being recorded, you know? Now, so the phone is always open. I go down there to use the phone, and who's in the phone booth every day but Rayful Edmonds? Did I think anything of it? No. The reason why I didn't think nothing of it, because whenever the phone was on the sand side that I was on, I'm always in there on the phone all day. Because back then, you make a phone call. They had these phones back then, right? Now, you know, everything is push-button phone. Back then, they had the rotary phone with the cord that come off it, and you pick the phone up, and you click down the receiver, and you dial the number 1, and whoop, 2, whoop, 0, 1, you know what I mean? And a rotary phone. But when you made that call, you got a real operator that got on the phone, a human being. And they was usually college kids from the neighborhood, and it'd be nice females. We locked up. We city slickers from all over the United States. I'm talking about Detroit, Miami, Chicago. And we even had a few California brothers out there. Big shout out to Woody that was out there, and Mad Ice. You know what I mean? Just to name a few. Now, you know, and Big Chub. Big Chub used to braid my hair, you know. Now, and it's funny, right? Because we ride. Hey, yo, I'm going to get back to Rayful Edmonds. So you rat bastards that don't like me riding, and you flip-flop wearing in public trolls that don't like me riding, Get off my channel. And please, and you know, I always got to tell you this because I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. I don't need you rat bastards or trolls buying the baddest book ever that I've written. A Roaring Harlem at aroaringharlem.com. Please don't buy the book, you rat bastards. I don't want you to buy it. And I'm telling, let me get close to the camera. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I don't think you understand how serious I am. Let me get as close as I can. You rat bastards. Please, I'm begging you, don't buy my book. And please get off my channel. I'm even going to give you 3 seconds to decide who you are. Now that you know who you are, take this with your rat ass. Now, let's get back to the story. So we riding, right? So I go down there, use the phone. They go Rayful Edmonds, always smiling, real charismatic and nice dude. And, you know, I know Rayful from the street, you know what I mean? You know, when I was down there in Southeast and all that, moving around. So I see Ray in there and he smiles at me and he like, damn, playboy, you know, how many you trying to get? I thought he was only kidding. I didn't know that he was really in there still moving. I didn't need nothing, didn't want nothing. Could have made something, but didn't want nothing. But they see the smile he got on his face, like, yo, playboy, how much you trying to get? That was his way of laughing because he know that, you know, we both went to trial and these people don't know what really went on. So we laughing and he on the phone and I'm like, yo, which one of these phones is best to use? Because they got little phone rooms. You know, he said, nah, you can use any one because nobody don't ever use a phone. So I'm in there talking, and when you call, you can talk as long as you want, 2 hours, 3 hours, or whatever. You just got to get back to the other side before they call the movement. You know what I mean? So now, because even when they end the move, you just stay in the unit and chill, as long as there's no fight. And that's a big gamble because there's always a fight or a stabbing in Lewisburg. Because my first day there, right? I'm getting a good show today. My first day there, I'm walking on the compound. I see my man Doo-Wop. Now, I see Doo-Wop give me a big care package with baby oil and cup of soup and, you know, the shebang chips and, you know what I mean? A couple of packs of cigarettes. Didn't even know if I smoked, but he looked out crazy. The Kool-Aid packs, everything. So now, he hands me the joint, and then all I heard was boom. And I look over, and when I look over, I see a Mexican brother laying on the ground holding his neck. It's all I was picturing. He's holding his neck, but he's holding his neck like this, you know? And then I seen somebody come by and kick his hand. And then blood came gushing through the other side. I said, whoa. Dude stabbed him in the neck and somebody else came in and kicked the joint through the other side of his joint. And it's my first day in Lewisburg. They hit the deuces. The deuces is the panic button. They go woo, 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 woo. And they let all the police know to show their force and come there. Even if you're not a police, if you're a school teacher, they have female school teachers. You know what I mean? They might even run over there. You know what I mean? Because that's their show of force. When they came running over there and they removed his hand from his neck, and I saw this joint just sticking out one side to the other side. I'm looking, and I'm not even fronting. I got to keep it 100. You know what I mean? I never say nothing like I'm the biggest gangster. I'm not none of that. I'm not the toughest dude. I'm just a human. When I seen that with my own eyes, I'm staring, shocked, like, what? And everything went blank. And then one of the homeboys dived and grabbed me and tumbled me through the gate. Because in Lewisburg, like I said, they got the sand side, they got the map side. In the middle is what they call the red top, and that's where everything is at. The movie theater, the chapel, the kitchen, you know what I mean? The library, you know what I mean? All that, right? But the library is on the other side of the gate on that side, right? Just like the commissary is on the other side of the gate on the red top. See, I'm even taking y'all in Lewisburg. I'm going to get a video of a tour of Lewisburg and run that to you. Remind me to do that before the holidays is over. I'm going to give you a holiday treat. So now, I'm sitting there and they dived and grabbed me and tumbled me through this gate while this big metal gate is closing. And I jump up pissed like, yo, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, dude, you done threw me on the floor like you tackled me. He literally tackled me. And then all the homeboys started laughing. They laughing at me. And I'm just keeping it 100. This is how green I was because I just entered Lewisburg. I'm pissed and they're all laughing. And they knew that when they told me why he did that, everything was going to change, right? And I was going to understand what was going on. Why do you think they grabbed and tackled me to the floor? Put it in the comments. If you put it afterwards, be honest what you was thinking, even though I'm going to tell you why. Because I didn't know why myself, But when they threw me on the floor and I got up and they laughing at me, they said, yo, if you would have got caught on that red top, they would have kept you locked in the basement in 4 walls, no windows in those cells. They would have locked you in the basement until after the trial and conviction of whoever they feel did this. He said, what? He said, they would have kept you locked in for at least 3 years while this guy fight this unalive charge. So we just saved you 3 years in a hole just coming on the compound. And I looked at him, and it didn't make sense at first, but it made sense, and I'm trying to process it, because it's a whole new world for me. I'm out there carrying 2 pistols. I don't like something, I just bust off. And I handle my problems that way. But now I'm in here where they're fighting with knives. I grew up in Jamaica where, I look a ratchet, the 007 ratchet. Remember that? Flick, flick. You know what I mean? At Jamaica that, but up here, they just bust off. The Jamaicans and the Puerto Ricans, the islanders, they were still fighting with the ratchet. Flick, 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 flick. You know how we do. Now, so when that happened, they telling me that I would have been in a hole until after the trial and conviction. Because they'll grab anybody that's in the red top because they feel they saw. So now they're a witness, or they might have been a part of it, but didn't get caught because they didn't have cameras in the prison then. Imagine all this going on with no cameras. You can just stab somebody and they keep walking. Nobody know except for whoever's behind them, or that might have seen it, and that'd be 1 or 2 people. And believe me, they not saying nothing because they might have to do the same, and then they still have to live in the prison. But this is the life that I'm trying to prevent y'all from going down. That's the only reason I'm telling these stories. Because I don't want you to have to experience this. These stories I tell, even this story to this very day, traumatizes me. I mean, traumatizes me. But anyway, let's ride back to Rayful. We already got rid of the rat bastard so we can enjoy the show. Now, so Rayful is down there, he making phone calls. And anytime I go down there, I go to B unit, because that's the empty unit. No one's never on the phone but Rayful Edmonds. Talking on the phone and da-da-da-da, and he talking, smiling, and he kept his business to himself, because when he asked me, did I need something, Playboy, he was dead serious. But I didn't catch it, because I'm just coming in the system. So I didn't think that he was still hustling of that magnitude, gambling his freedom, when he still had a direct appeal. He still had a chance to get out. And, then he lost his appeal. I wound up using his case. I even know where his case is off the top of my head. If you want to look up Rayful Edmonds' case in the law books, go to 52F3D. I think it's page 1080. I might remember the page. And then they also got Theodore Edmonds. Big round of applause to Theodore. Big Ted out of California. Then they also got Big Ted Theodore Edmonds. I was using Theodore Edmonds' case and Rayful Edmonds' case for at least a decade before I met Big Ted in Lompoc on the back dock. Big Ted even gave me his brother's number to call. He was cool, I think, with Smokey Robinson or something like that. Yeah, Smokey. It's Smokey Isaac came out. I'm almost sure it was Smokey. And he gave his number, and, they wanted to do something with me. He's a really good dude, man, the best, Big Ted. Anybody know where Big Ted at? That know Big Ted in Cali? Tell Big Ted to call Unique, because I definitely would like to talk to him, because he was intricate in my growth, too. That's who introduced me to movies and things like that out west. That was back in 2001. After I already wrote Aurora in Harlem and wrote the movie script to Aurora in Harlem, so I was talking to him about it, getting the game. But Rayful's case is in 52F3D. Just put that in and put in Rayful Edmonds. You're also going to see Theodore Edwards. That's not Rayful. Rayful is Rayful, and Theodore is Theodore, a.k.a. Big Ted. Caught his case from California, allegedly sending drugs through, like, Federal Express, whatever it was, what did that, the brown truck, UPS, you know what I mean? And it got knocked in Pennsylvania, so they brought it from Cali to there, took him to trial, so I used their case for a number of years. But, you know, that's where that's at. I don't want to be here too long about it. Let me get back to Rayful real quick. I could be here all day running my prison stories. That's why I had to get off from over there. Go check out Unique Mecca Audio Prison Talk is what it is now, but I'm going to change it to Prison Stories. All right? All right? So it's Unique Mecca Audio Prison Stories. I'm going to put all my prison stories there. So if you want to hear any of these crazy prison stories, you can go over there. I got Prison Talk where I got Kevin Childs, Lou Sims, you know, L, and Larry Moe from DC. You know, we all up there having, and we all did over 100 years talking about what it was like doing over 100 years. Let's get back to Rayful.
Fast forward to 2023, and things took a surprising turn. After serving more than 3 decades, Rayful's life sentence was reduced, and he was moved to a halfway house in Nashville. His lawyer and even community leaders spoke out, saying he deserved another chance. "He's happy as you can imagine," said Tyrone Parker, a DC activist who knew Rayful. "It's a miracle that he's home." Rayful was ready to turn his life around, or at least that's what he wanted the world to believe. But then, out of nowhere, news broke that Rayful had died. The Federal Bureau of Prisons confirmed Rayful's death, but kept the details under wraps. No cause of death was released, which, let's be honest, only fueled more rumors. People immediately started speculating. Was this just natural causes, or was there something way more sinister at play? Because let's be real, these kind of things are very common. Well, according to Rayful's family, it's the latter. They're saying there's no way this was random and are pointing fingers at the people who might have wanted him gone.
My first thought was, man, I hope he wasn't assassinated. But
you heard what he said? Now, these are different thoughts than what y'all are thinking. I know you see me behind me. I'm watching my back right now. Right? Now, you know what he said? He said at first he thought he may have been assassinated. That means he was into something so high-powered. Who gets assassinated? Who do you know from your neighborhood that's been assassinated? Anybody watching? Putting it up there. Listen to the words that this man is using and look at his title. Let's keep this moving.
as it turns out, he apparently died a natural death. And anybody who's been in prison long enough eating prison food, it doesn't take much to imagine how that can happen.
Now, you hear that crap? I've been eating prison food for 27 and a half years. Lou Sims been eating it for 28 years. You know, Antone White been eating it for 29 years. Akbar Prey been eating it for 34 years. You know what I mean? Guy Fisher been eating it for 35 years. You know what I mean? Farris been eating it for 20-something years also. We all been eating prison food. Do we look like we might have a heart attack? Do we look like the prison food is going? But that's because he's taking the speculation away from what he said first about that assassination. Because now you're talking about the higher ups. How many people do you know from our neighborhoods, from your neighborhood, that ever assassinated someone? I'm not talking about just standing over them, giving them two to the head. You know what I mean? Pay attention. You know what I mean? This is good.
Several people believe that this death wasn't just some coincidence. It was retaliation. If you know Rayful's history, then you know he flipped on some of his closest allies back in the day.
See, closest allies. So that's what they're getting ready to get into. It might be his closest allies. You know how they do that. Make sure you subscribe at Mecca Audio TV and Unique Mecca Audio Prison Stories to get more of these prison stories.
When Rayful turned informant and started ratting people out, it shook the streets. He allegedly provided the feds with information on major players in the game, and snitching at that level doesn't just get forgotten no matter how many years go by. There has been wild speculation that some of the people he snitched on might have had connections even after all these years. Was Rayful's release from prison the perfect opportunity for someone to settle the score? After all, this wasn't just some street-level drama. Rayful's empire reached all the way to the top, and
you heard that? It reached all the way to the top. But they're talking about down the smaller level, you know, with our neighborhoods, you know, with his dealers that he dealt with, right? Let's stop it. Let's stop it. You know what I mean? But let's see where we at. We don't do no faking over here. We give you the real and Unique Mecca Audio. I had to take me off from behind me right now. We just chilling. But that's the charismatic smile that Rayful always had. And it's a shame that he wound up flipping and going to the other side. And that brings me to my next ride. Rayful Edmonds' family is mourning his death as we speak. They're mourning his death as we speak. They're crying for him as we speak. But the families of those 100 people that he ratted on is cheering and celebrating. You see how one group cheer and one group mourn? This is what we don't want you to get involved with. Putting your family members, your friends, and your comrades in this position to have to choose a side. This man is responsible for over 100 indictments. So who knows how many convictions? If you want to know how many convictions, go check out, right? Let me give my man a plug, right? Let me give my man a plug. Go check out DC Blacks. They got the fire DC prison stories. Eon Williams is connected to all the men from the street. So go check out DC Blacks if you want to hear more about this. This is their situation. I'm just speaking on this, not for the person, but for the situation, so that the youth understand that it's not worth it to get involved in a life of crime. It's not worth it to be a rat and tell on nobody when you choose to be on the street, because you never know how long they're going to harbor that revenge. You don't know if they pass and then their kids picked up that revenge because the father put it in the child that this man must go. But Pops passed before he got a chance to go, and the child might pick it up and say, I'll ride. I'm going to ride for my daddy. He told on my daddy. And that's what's so sad. Then you don't know when that person or that person's children might say, what does that child say, right? He ruined my life by taking my father away from me, by telling on him and getting him a life sentence. I don't know my father because of this man that told on my father. Now this man is deceased. So my father never got revenge. I'm not implementing nothing like that. I'm just giving y'all the real, how the street work, because you had a gangster channel, damn it. So if you don't want to hear the real from a gangster, how it worked on the street and what could happen on the street, I'm going to give you 3 seconds to please tap out. And I'm not going to give you the gunshots, but I'm going to give it to you real. What if one of the men or women that he told on children decide to say, I'm going to pick up arms and go with his children because he ruined my father's children's life, which is me, by telling on my father. And then now they start stalking his family because he's gone and they can't get with him. These are the things that happen on the street. So don't put yourself in a situation for no one to want to have to target you because your daddy can't give it to you no realer than that. Cash App on the screen. Make sure you hit the icon and say it was created in 2020. And please subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'm asking you. That's all I'm asking. I don't want to have to fire no gunshots at you. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed. That ain't asking for too much. Look how fire this is. I'm really enjoying this video because I know I'm giving a lot of good jewels. Been on here 35 minutes kicking it with y'all. And I didn't even finish this video yet. I'm going to finish playing the rest of this. But that's where we at. Anything could happen, so don't get involved in the street, y'all. Get your joint together.
His enemies weren't small-time players. Rayful's family isn't buying the official silence around his death. They've been vocal, saying the timing is way too suspicious. His halfway house placement was supposed to be a fresh start, but instead, it turned into a graveyard.
Now, you heard that? His halfway house, because he was still connected to the FBOP, turned into a graveyard. So, my first scenario that I gave you, allegedly, what if the higher ups decided to put something in his food to induce his heart because they scared that now that he's out and he tell his stories, he might reveal something about them that they don't want to be revealed. And that's one way that his halfway house could have turned into a graveyard. Think about that. Now let's hear from Big Rick Ross. Big shout out to Rick Ross too. I was with Rick Ross in Lombard. You know, I talked to him since I've been home. Big Rick. Matter of fact, Rick, I'm gonna reach out to you, Rick. We're gonna do something together. I was with Rick Ross in Lombard at the end of his bid. You know what I mean? Let's talk. And that was in 2002, maybe early 2002. Yeah, early 2002. You know what I mean? Or 2001, one of the other. 2002, I'm almost sure.
Well, you actually interacted with him?
Yeah, Ray used to come to L.A.
Oh, so he a cop from you?
From Melvin Butler.
One theory suggests that Rayful was taken out by someone who didn't want him talking. Remember, he was reportedly cooperating with law enforcement to get his sentence reduced. Could he have been planning to expose even more secrets?
Maybe he was ready to expose secrets against law enforcement.
Another theory ties his death to rivals who never forgave him for snitching. Rayful might have been out of the game for decades, but in the streets, some grudges last forever.
You heard that? That's why I say don't get involved in the street, man. Some grudges last forever. Please, please, please don't get involved in the street. I can't get an emoji for nothing. I mean, somebody told me something. I guess they loving the project, but let's keep it moving.
Rayful's death also raises questions about the current state of DC's streets. Despite being out of the game, his name still carried weight, and his release might have stirred up old tensions.
Do you believe Rayful Edmonds' release stirred up old tensions?
Some believe that his death could reignite rivalries or spark even more aggression in a city that's already struggling with crime.
You see how YouTube say anything? You tell me who's gonna go to war and bust their gun and risk their freedom for Rayful Edmonds right now. Remember that old saying, and this is not to put nothing on, I'm just keeping it like it is. Snitches get stitches. And that was the easy way out, because you could also get unalived. Remember, if you want to know more about Rayful Edmonds and the DC movement, that's not my thing. That's my brother, Eon Williams, over at DC Blacks. Anything you want to know about DC, I'm telling you, go check my brother Eon Williams out over at DC Blacks. Oh, yeah, and Streets from V. See, I know my man person. I can't remember his YouTube, because I only be on YouTube. Streets from V. Please go check out Streets from V also. I think that's the name of it. I'm going to put it in the comment, but Streets from V, he does really good commentary on out that way. He in the DMV.
Before his death, Rayful was reportedly trying to turn over a new leaf. Community leaders who supported his release believed he could help steer at-risk youth away from a life of crime. Let's give the man a chance, said his lawyer Jason Downs. He feels that he has served and paid his debt to society. But did the streets give him a chance, or was his past too heavy to escape?
I don't think I'm going to spend the rest of my life in prison. I think I'm going to go home one day soon.
See, that's a manipulative personality. That's what we all had as kingpins. We had the manipulative personality to think that we could manipulate our way out of any situation. Look in his eyes. He's looking and telling you, I will be home. It took him another over 2 decades to get there, but he accomplished his mission, but he didn't last very long.
You think your appeal will be successful?
Yes, I hope and pray that it will.
No matter.
See, that little smirk, he ain't thinking about no appeal. He was already ratting. You know what I mean? That's what he was thinking. He thinking the police, he was thinking the feds was going to work with him, so he gave the smirk. She asked about the appeal because she talked about him going out like a gangster. He already thinking he going out like at the back door, and he think they're going to help him, but instead they flipped it and said, nah, we ain't going to let you out, but we'll use the information you gave and credit that towards your mama and get your mama out, because no man's mama deserved to be in prison, and I believe for nothing unless you do something like with a child or whatever.
No matter how you spin it, Rayful Edmonds' story is one of the most controversial in American history. From his rise as a kingpin to his fall as a federal informant, he's been both villain and victim, depending on who you ask. But now, with his suspicious death, it's clear that his legacy isn't going anywhere. The question is, will we ever know the full truth about what happened to him? The streets are talking, and the reactions to Rayful's death are straight up wild. One commenter dropped this theory: government told FBI he is no longer any use for us to continue being our federal informant and got rid of him. Another.
Hey, yo, I stopped this in the middle. My bag. I just remembered. It just came to my mind. Go check out Banky Pound. That's another one that does prison stories. I did an interview for the holiday with Banky Pound. I looked at part one yesterday, right? He put out the part one of the interview with me and him, and I'm watching it. And as I'm watching it, you know, it was getting ready to get up to me telling the old Tupac story, and then the joint just ended. Bam. Crushed me. I called Banky and gave him easy hanging like that. So I know how y'all feel. Go watch part one now, and part two will be up this evening. I'm going to play it on my channel as well, but I'm letting Banky, you know, reap the rewards of it because I agreed to get on his joint, and then he said, you put it on your channel as well. So that's what we do as men. We look out. Huh? Let's go.
Another hit hard with snitched on all those people about substances and 20 red rums to get out for 90 days and die. It's clear that people aren't buying the official silence around his death, and the rumors are only making.
You heard that? Snitched on 20 red rums. That's 20 jump outs that was declarated for bringing down the crack era through this man's information. His information is what brought down the crack era in Washington, D.C. Red rum. He told on 20 of them. Do you think they had something to do with his demise? Put it in the comments. Just open your eyes up to so much, man.
Things confusing. The question remains, how much of this is conspiracy and how much is the ugly truth? So what do y'all think? Was Rayful's death just a tragic end to a controversial life, or was there something way darker at play? Leave your thoughts down below, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more development.
Now, so that's where we at, you know, just so you fully understand. Let me bring this up because we won't deal with Rayful Edmonds, and I'm going to give you all a close out because my joint's so fly the way I hook this up. I'm going to bring it back down here. You know what I mean? I'm going to bring it back down. Where is it? We're going to go to breaking news for you. You know what I mean? We're going to go to breaking news. Now, we began with breaking news. We close with breaking news. I gave you a chance to open your mind and see different angles and different ways that may have caused this man's demise. Please subscribe at Mecca Audio TV. Cop the book, Aurora in Harlem, at aurorainharlem.com. Hit the notification bell here. Subscribe. That's all I'm asking you. Let's ride out. Make sure you hit the QR code on the screen and know that you can cop my man's book over there. All right?
Cheers, cheers, the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, yeah. He back on the strip, getting back in the mix. Yeah. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. An Instagram page and a YouTube you could go and visit. Yeah. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Real. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca Audio.